was pondering on something today. Many people that Jesus encountered, we don't consider that they had a past before that present moment. We just look at what the Lord said to them in that moment, and in our mind, sometimes we think that's all he's dealing with, this moment. But a lot of times, if we consider Jesus, not the woman at the well, not the man who had leprosy that he met on the road, not the woman with the issue of blood, not the woman whose daughter was vexed with a demon, but Jesus, who was talking to them in that moment, we'll see that a lot of times he gave them permission to continue regardless of the loss. Sometimes people need that push, that encouragement, that hope, that expectation of more gain than what was lost. Imagine the man with leprosy, and Jesus said, go show yourself to the priest. Of course, that was the order. The priest was the one that said that they had leprosy, so the priest had to be the one to declare them clean. But this man had lost everything. He had nothing. He literally had nothing. Whatever land he had, anything he had that could be burned was burned, because they considered him unclean, and anything he touched was unclean. But that which was not burned was taken, was dispersed. He had to relinquish it. So now it's like he's clean, but it's like he has to start over. But Jesus gave him a hope. If you are declared clean, you can continue your life as clean. You don't have to consider everything you lost when you were considered unclean. But there is something to be gained. There is more to be gained. Consider this. Everybody knew that this man had leprosy. And everybody knew what was lost. And people even knew, the stuff they take. A person with leprosy is considered dead. Right? You know how certain cultures, I'll speak of my own ethnic group. When someone passed, before they even put it in the ground, people are at their house taking stuff. People are fighting over what's in the bank. People are, okay? So if God was to raise that person back up at the funeral home, which he can do, they don't have anything. It's like they will have to start over. But it's interesting because knowing that they were in the position they're in, everyone knows this person has now been brought to the attention of people who had not encountered. Their story is spread abroad. You ever notice how, when someone suffers loss and more people find out their story, they begin to give them things, or they want to be a blessing to them. They want to be a part of the restorative process in their life. I believe that's what happened to each person that Jesus encountered, where he gave them permission to continue on. He gave them an expectation to continue on. Here, the woman, we normally preach about her daughter being, and how she said agreed with Jesus and she was a dog and everything. But Jesus said, this is not the time. This present is not the time for your daughter to be healed or for me to respond to your request. I came for the Jews. But she continued. She continued, not about her situation, but she continued the conversation, and the focus was on who Jesus was. And the one she focused on gave her permission to move from her present into her future. Her daughter's future was restored. Anything that the woman had lost because of her daughter's condition. You know, people don't want to fool with you when you're vexed. People don't want to fool with you, right? Anything that she's lost, just family, friends, money, because, you know, she wanted, we act like people deliverance is just, you know, today. No. She spent money to get, you know, her daughter healed or delivered. Jesus now has given her hope. Her daughter was healed. We sometimes think of restoration as getting things back, but a lot of times when we look at it from the eyes of Jesus, right, looking at him, he restores you to the place that he intended, not the place that you were in the past, and then you lost things up until this point. He restores you to the place he always intended. What if his intent for you, you came upon it at this juncture? You lost things back here, things that you shouldn't have had, friends that shouldn't have been there. We don't consider that stuff, right? But at this point in time, he restores you to what his intention for you to have, his intention for you to be, his intention. You're at a different place. You're at a different mindset and everything. And he gives you permission to continue on in spite of what was lost. And you don't grieve what was lost because of what he does in that moment. He heals you of before. You don't grieve it because now you have an expectation of so much more. And sometimes when we look at, you know, scriptures and we want to talk about, you know, how Jesus healed and a moment in time of that person's present place, what Jesus did, we have to also, or we should consider that there were things that he was lining up for them. The man who said, you know, every time, you know, I try to help myself and you know, get in the pool to get healed the way that it is said that, you know, I can be healed. Somebody go before me. I ain't got nobody help me. When Jesus told him to take up his bed and walk, see, he didn't need nobody to help him take up that bed. He didn't want nobody to help him take up the bed. He took up his mat, folded it up. It was a testimony. It was going to be a testimony. Every time he looked at it, it's not about looking at what he lost, but the fact that this moment in time, the time that I got up off this mat, was when my expectation of better began. When my hope was stirred up. When I saw that the Lord still had purpose, his intention for me, I realized from that moment, everything else is considered not a loss to be grieved, but as Paul said, dung, fertilizer, compost. But my point, he gives us the right in a moment, whatever moment that is, he gives us that moment in time. At that moment, he gives us permission to continue without grief, but in expectation.